Let's wait for viewers to jump on in. Check.
I want to try something. Can I try something?
Yeah, go ahead.
You see that?
I don't see anything. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Hey. Okay. So, what you can do is, right, remember that, what do you call it? The Photoshop that you did with me and Boss? Yeah, so that's perfect. That's a bunch of good stuff. Okay, people are jumping in.
I don't know if I saved it.
Okay, I'm going to start right now. Ready? Hey, guys, welcome to the Dr. Death Show. Finally, this is our first rendition of the Dr. Death Show here on the YouTube channel, Dr. Death Show, because of all of you guys or many of you guys have been sending me a lot of tweets asking me if I am going to put my podcast, my radio show here on YouTube. And after a couple of tweets, some of my friends even messaged me. They said, hey, you should really think about getting on YouTube. I said, all right, let me see. But without further ado, we got Mr. 650. He's been on my show with me. As always, you can finally get some eye candy from himself, Edward John CA. Now you can put the face to the handle. What's up, man? Thanks for joining me today, my man.
It's good to be here.
Hey, man. So there's since the last time we've spoken, right? I think in the realm of sports talk or in the realm of stadium saga,
sure,
it's as if almost we age a year in the matter of 20 days. I don't even want to say a month, but we can easily say that how things progress or evolve. That's a better word.
Sure.
How things evolve over time almost age quicker than normal life, if that makes sense, right? And if you guys are just joining me, thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining us. This is my first time here on YouTube. As you guys normally listen to me, I'm on Periscope or on Blog Talk Radio. I'm trying this for the first time, and this is really impromptu. We didn't put anything together, but I really wanted this to be just more like a basic conversation. Boss wasn't able to join us this evening. Ed, can you hear me okay?
I hear you perfect there, buddy.
Cool. Let's get into things, right? Since the last time we have spoken, and it's going to sound like forever ago, but the last time you and I spoke is a little bit after that on this show. Sheldon Adelson on the Las Vegas Review-Journal called Mark Davis unethical. You put it in that terms.
Wow.
It feels like a long time ago.
Sure.
And now that's like, okay, yeah, he got called unethical. And to some, it almost seems like, okay, yeah, but we're still moving on. Now, you tell me what you think this article says in it. And it just came out today, which I put it in our chat that we were talking about with you Boss and I. We're on a Facebook chat. And it's
that never ends.
This saga never ends. And now what I'm seeing, oh, you know what? Let me do it here on my iPad. Now that you guys are at home and you guys can watch my Periscope, here's what I'm talking about. Wait. Oh, okay. So this right here, right? Now, I'm going to read something that, so it reads like this. Clark County Chair, 2 investors confirmed for Vegas Raiders Stadium. And one thing that Boss highlighted, and it reads, quote, as Fox 5's Vince Saplenza reported, the sources of the funding were not immediately identified, but Sisolak said they could range from banks to private investors. What does that mean to you, Ed? You're the guy, you're really good with numbers, and you're good at saying, hey, wait a minute.
Oh, I'm not the best when it comes to numbers there, Doctor. There's a lot more better.
Oh, come on. Don't downplay yourself, Ed. Come on.
No. Okay.
Look, let me tell you how. Let's see if you pass the test if you're good with numbers. Raise your hand at home if you have a spreadsheet with the numbers of the stadium penciled out. I'm not raising my hand. Do you? Come on, Ed.
Oh, maybe. But I don't know if those are right. Those are just maybe just a pie in the sky kind of thing. So I could be totally wrong about that.
First, before we get to the numbers, let's talk
Sure.
about the banks.
Sure.
Right? You said something to me in private that, and I said, yeah, I mean, you're right. That's what I would have said is, why is Mark Davis and Mark Bedane collectively being so secretive about who these investors are when they were really contritely throwing Adelson's name out like it was nobody's business? Like that was their big stick at the time. Sheldon Adelson is our investor. When they were in Carson, who was it? Was it Goldman Sachs, right?
Actually, they didn't really have it. Goldman Sachs was the Chargers financer, and they were piggybacking along. And I don't know if they actually got an investor all buttoned up for Carson for their portion.
So okay. So what do you make of this? They got two of whatever they could be. It could be a private investor. It could be a bank. It could be I don't know.
It could be a prince. It could be a Prince of Dubai. Could be a lot of things.
But we don't know who it is.
There's rumors that it's J.P. Morgan and U.S. Bank,
now,
which are legit financial institutions. And what legit financial institutions do is not just give money.
Now, because when you give money, you need something in return, like a return on investment, also an ROI.
That is not giving money. I give money to my kids to buy candy.
Or lunch money.
Or lunch money. I don't expect anything in return. What banks do is they loan money. They're not doing this because it's like they're diehard Raider fans and they want to help out the nation. They're not doing this because they have some affinity for Raider Nation or anything. If any bank, financial institution is going to do this, they're going to demand a return of an investment. They're going to demand something in return. Sheldon Adelson was even demanding something in his. I think there was no real way to know. Some say they wanted ownership and stuff like that, and he was just saying he just wanted to do it as a legacy. That could kind of be BS. Okay, fine. We'll just assume we wanted ownership. We gotta just make it clear that these banks will want something. Now, is Mark Davis willing to give that something up? That's where we're at right now.
Now, not only is he giving something up, we also have to put it in this perspective that see, people say that this is his team, and I come back with it's not his league. Now you tell me if this is far-fetched or if I'm on to something.
Sure.
Okay, they're taking on a lot of debt. Them being the Raiders.
Yeah.
And what I mean, a lot of debt, that could be, because we're not including the $750 million, because that's not their debt. It's the city of Las Vegas.
Right.
How much would the Raiders' debt be, including, and when I mean including, a rough estimate of the relocation and interest? In your opinion, running, through the numbers, what would the debt be for the Raiders?
Okay.
And when you tell me that, I'm gonna link it on how that affects the NFL, because they are one. They're not mutually exclusive, right?
Okay. So let me start off as we do not know the relocation fee.
Correct. I want to make that very clear here.
Okay. Some say it's lower than LA. Some say whatever. But it is a some say kind of thing right now. It's not finalized. If it were the Raiders, they would assume that they don't have to pay a relocation fee. I bet they've mentioned that a couple times, advocating for that. But I would think Stan Kroenke and Dean Spanos would have a conniption fit if they did not charge the Raiders a relocation fee. But we cannot incorporate that into our equation. So, all right. Do you want to share the spreadsheet?
Yeah. By all means, go ahead.
Let's
I think
let's
you have capability of doing that, right?
let's
By the way, real quick, guys, if you guys want to partake in the chat, feel free to do so. This is my first time doing this, so you guys type something away if you guys are able to.
Okay, I don't know if this is going to work. Here we go, Google. All right. Start screen share. We all see. All right. So here's our comparison from Oakland to Las Vegas. Do you see it?
I do.
Dear doctor. Okay, the public.
Yep.
350 million worth of infrastructure bonds, lands, and all that.
Does that $750 million include infrastructure costs in Las Vegas?
Just around the stadium. There's probably going to be other things. That's not including the monorail, from which I know.
Okay.
Okay, so 300 million here. This is including the additional 100 million that Oakland was rewarded.
Which isn't guaranteed, nor is it off the table, nor is it a deal breaker. So put that stipulation there.
Right. So, and then this is the G4 loan if it was approved for Las Vegas. I assume it would because it was approved for LA. I know there's people out there saying, oh, it could be used for the home territory. Well, it was used for LA, so I'd assume it'd be used to here. Okay. So what you do is, we know the stadium cost for Oakland is $1,300, not $1,300 if that was the case, $1.3 billion. And Las Vegas is $1.9 billion. We know it's $1.9 billion because in Las Vegas, the guy said, Stephen Hill, or I think that's his name, was like, it's going to be $1.9 billion. That's how much it is. And if you put in that cell, you take C10, which is this guy right here, minus these two right here, gives you $950 million that is left over that has to be paid by a private entity. Now everyone's saying naming rights, PSLs and all that. Yeah, that's how it's going to be paid off, but it still needs to be paid. If the naming rights doesn't come in, it has to be backed by somebody. Now the public can't back any more money. That's as much as they're going to go. They're not going to get any more backing from that. So they have to pay. So it has to come to $950 million from the private.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to $650 million in Oakland. So there's a gap of 300. So the Raiders have to figure out how they're going to pay for that. They're going to PSLs, naming rights, a loan. They have to come up with that. That's close to $1 billion they have to take out. That's where we're at right now.
Now that $1 billion now, is that including interest?
Okay, now just say interest is 5% over 30 years.
Uh-huh.
They have to come up with $47.5 million a year to pay for debt on $950 million. Now they could have PSLs, naming rights, help pay that off. I can't type
now.
today.
Now in private conversation, you projected if naming rights were as much as Levi's was in Santa Clara.
Right. So let me see here. If it was the PSLs were 550. Let's see. 550 and what's it? It's 250. That is 800. Still got a 150 deficit.
150 million?
$150 million. It comes to like 150. I thought it was like 200 million, but it's like 200.
But that's all the numbers using top tier prices from, and what I mean top, that means like I would almost say best case scenario in terms of funding using the model that they used in Santa Clara, which is the Bay Area.
Sure.
It's pricier.
Sure.
It's more value because there's more people, there's more disposable income. Now, I would almost have to beg the question, what would that look like if they adjusted it to Las Vegas prices?
I don't
And what
know.
I mean Las Vegas prices,
We don't know what Las Vegas prices are because those marketing studies haven't been released yet.
and here, I want to be very clear on that. What I mean that by Las Vegas prices, I mean disposable in the terms of disposable income prices, in terms of naming rights, PSLs, all that stuff, sponsorships and stuff like that. We don't know what it's like because it's not like inflation is going to adjust to the price of the stadium, because that price of the stadium is at 1.9 billion or more, because we're talking about cost overruns.
Yeah, and who's going to cover those?
Because we know JP Morgan, they're not really in the business of taking on cost overruns unless it's stipulated in the...
Banks are not going to take on that. Usually what happens is they have municipalities take it over. Like we've seen in Oakland, what happens is when the projections aren't met for PSLs, it falls on the general fund. That's what usually happens. Banks do not want to be left holding the bag. The teams don't want to be left holding the bag, and the NFL doesn't want to be left holding the bag. It's the municipalities that are the ones that are supposed to be left holding the bag.
And that's assuming that an investor, Steve Wynn, Fertitas, that's probably maybe a possibility that they take on cost overruns. But what do they get in return?
It's a give and a take. And Sheldon Adelson, we don't know how much he wanted, but let's assume he wanted ownership and he wanted some stadium revenue. Then the Raiders said no. What does someone else want? Do they want less than that? We don't know, but they're going to want something. No one is just going to part way with $650 million plus because they're a Raider fan.
But these are the Raiders, man. You don't get that? Come on, Ed.
Sorry.
They're the Raiders.
Yeah. Okay, but real life here. Let's get off our Raider Nation bubble here.
You don't by chance have the Photoshop that you had of the respective stadiums fitting, at the Santa Clara and I think the Russell Road site?
I do not. I mean, I didn't save it.
So let's talk about this because you mentioned this the other day. We have roughly, there's nothing official, but there's roughly 15 to 17,000 what's allegedly reported, 15 to 17,000 season ticket holder wait list right now.
Sure.
And the Raiders have they been on record or is this privately where Mark Bedane said they don't want to take off the tarps because there's not enough parking?
Well, what happened was this was in response to it was before Derek Carr got injured. Everyone was making hey, the Raiders might have a home game, playoff game. Let's take off the tarps. Ian Rappaport said the NFL wouldn't care about that. They could take off the tarps and they wouldn't care because there's an NFL rule that says that once you start the season with an attendance, you have to maintain it. Well, the NFL was going to make an exception if the Raiders made the playoffs. Vic Tafur responded saying that the Raiders feel, I don't know where he got it from, was it Bedane or Davis himself, saying that parking was an issue and that's why they did not want to lift the tarps.
And you brought this up saying there's more room on the Coliseum property for parking, but yet they want to put a 66,000 seat stadium on a 60-acre piece of or parcel of land.
Sure.
That is less than half the size of the current Coliseum property.
So the Coliseum has about 10,000 surface parking spaces, and stuff around the Coliseum, and it has this little thing called BART. All right, so 30% of the people come that way from BART.
And Amtrak.
And yeah.
And 2 highways.
Yes.
And 3 airports within an hour drive. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah. Thanks, Sonny. So that is, but when you look at the Russell Road site, it is barely 60 acres, and you're going to put a 1.8, 1.9 million square foot stadium there. That's taking up almost 3/4 of the lot, and then you're probably going to have how many, like 6,000 parking spaces there, and there's no public transportation. That it doesn't work. It doesn't work. The roads to get in there, they have to redo all the roads, and the way you make the roads wider, it cuts down on all the parking spaces there. So it's kind of disingenuous for the Raiders to say, oh yeah, we're not opening up the tarps because we don't have the parking, but on the other hand, they're trying to build a stadium where they're taking away parking.
And I want to switch gears a little bit because it's been a couple of weeks since we've been, actually the last time we were on air was before the Super Bowl. Now that we're past the Super Bowl, okay,
the greatest player to ever play football.
Probably, I wouldn't doubt that. But looking, I'm not going to argue that. I think Boss may differ with us. But hold on, looking, I want to bring something up to you. Looking. I don't know where I have it. But, and look, I think I am going to get hammered by a lot of Raider fans that are listening to me right now. And, and if I were to tell people the time frame of our text messaging, it's like it was polar opposite. It changes over the time frame, chronological time frame of our text messages during the Super Bowl. One of your text messages that you sent me reminded me of a tweet that I put out. And it said, and this was on September the 14th, 2016, should the NFL consider naming a trophy after Bill Belichick? And 71% said no. 29% said yes. Do you think that changes at all, or should it?
No, I don't think so.
You don't think it should? And here I'm thinking about it, right? Because if that was really the case, then going into the 80s or maybe even the 90s, even during the 90s, after the 70s and the 80s, then I think we'd probably have a couple of trophies considered for Chuck Noll and Bill Walsh.
I think Belichick's better than probably both those guys, but
that says a lot. But
it's kind of like the OJ rule. Wait till the guy's done. Wait till the guy's like almost dead before you get any kind of rule. You don't know what he's going to do next. You don't know what's going to happen.
So we should wait till the guy's dead before
are close to it. Let's do the OJ. Because this is what happens.
So it's kind of like
the OJ rule. Seriously.
Or the Pete Rose rule, who doesn't have to deal with anything morbid.
Sure.
Right? Something a little less morbid, right? He's probably one of the greatest hitters of all time, or no, but see Barry Bonds.
Not the best gambler, but hey.
I'm not taking him to Vegas to gamble, right? Now
he does have the same haircut as Mark Davis, though. So maybe they'll fit in together.
So I get that. But you were saying he's probably better than those two coaches who won almost 4 Super Bowls, 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Right.
He is.
So do you think that in about 15 years, or maybe he lives a longer life, once he's almost left us, maybe they'll start? Because when did they rename the Lombardi? Like the Super Bowl trophy, the Lombardi. Was Lombardi already passed away?
I don't know if he's been passed away, but I don't know.
Or he was close to it?
I don't know when they officially started naming that the Lombardi.
See, that's something we have to look into. Now, because I know you got to get going. I know you got to go do some daddy duties. I just want to chime in here real quick. And real quick, if you were in Reggie McKenzie's shoes right now,
sure, yeah,
are you considering, let's say, the moment, or do you even consider it, releasing Aldon Smith at all costs, no matter what? Or do you wait to hear his side of the story?
I think that's a kind of a Mark Davis thing.
Mark Davis, excuse me.
yeah, Mark Davis is like hanging his hat on, this domestic violence thing, and I kind of know probably more than the public knows about this.
Yeah, and we won't get into it because I don't think it's really apropos to really get into it.
Right.
You
But
you found out about it. We actually first
Yeah.
Boss, because we were in a private
Yeah.
chat. Boss messaged us, and then you said, "Well, let me go check this out because you have certain ways of finding certain things out."
I sure do.
You do, and that's not thinking like we're not saying that in the name of you being like an expert. You just put two and two together. You just have ways of finding certain things out.
Right.
And then we both, you said he's done. You just said, oh, he's a goner, because you probably know more than the general public. I was kind of like, oh, I just hope it's not true. Maybe there's another side to the story.
Right. I thought he was a goner because the Raiders were so strict about it. I thought they would make a stand. From what I know, I didn't think it's limited. It's not, I would think like other team would stick by, but I thought us or the Raiders being the Raiders, they would make a big stand about it, and Mark Davis would want to get more PR and stuff like that. But as him being guilty, it's a lot of he's innocent until proven guilty. Yeah, so that's all. I'll leave it there.
Because I think also too, what is it? John Middlecoff on Haberman and Middlecoff on their podcast, he pretty much called Alden the police are coming Smith.
Oh, it's hilarious.
Alden domestic violence Smith. Alden.
See, that's not fair though. That one isn't fair because this is just one incident. Yeah, Alden Smith is a knucklehead, but this is the first time.
But he's been involved in a lot of what do you call it?
I was in a lot of traffic accidents and speeding and stuff like that. If there was one call for what I did, involving a lady or something like that, doesn't make everything else I did before me, doesn't brand me as a domestic violence,
But I think, what Middlecoff was saying, and I kind of agreed with him, is the fact that you are anywhere involved in any type of where the police.
I get that. That. He's a knucklehead, but I don't think he has a pattern of domestic violence.
I don't know if it's necessarily.
I think he has a pattern of bad decisions. And
that involve the police.
Involve the police, bad people, being around morons. Yeah, that's what happens. But I can't say that like he is Mr. Domestic Violence.
No, I don't know.
I
don't want anybody to confuse that. What I'm pretty much saying is Alden, the police are involved Smith, just like what I'm kind of. I'm piggybacking on what John Middlecoff said. I didn't create that, right?
I think that's hilarious. But truth be told, I did not live the up and up life, and I've gotten a lot of trouble speeding. Never hit any woman or anything like that, but I've gotten in a lot of trouble speeding and driving and all that stuff. And
But see, if you called me up right now and you said, "Hey, I'm in jail right now because I got caught with my 4th speeding ticket in 10 years. I haven't done it in 6, but 6 years later, I would almost say, oh, you're back to your old ways again, Ed. Let me go bail you out."
That's right. That's right.
We're saying the same thing about Alden Smith. The police are involved, no matter what it is. I don't know. Maybe he hit a fire hydrant and the roads were wet. Because if you put this in a different form, let's say it was Derek Carr, and Derek Carr, the police in Fresno came to Derek Carr's house because something domestic dispute. A lot of us, including I'd say you, Boss, and myself, would be floored. We'd be like, is someone trying to break into his house? Is Derek defending himself?
Right.
And it came out that said no, it was between Derek Carr and his wife, or no, if it was between Amari Cooper and his girlfriend, or Khalil Mack and his girlfriend, because I don't want these people who love throwing the race card, right? If it was Khalil Mack and his girlfriend, and people said that, hey, the the police got called to Khalil Mack's house, or Donald Penn. Well, Donald Penn, he was out on, stuff like that. But you know what I'm saying? So like, if the police got called to Khalil Mack's house, we would say, oh, did someone try to break in his house? But if it was Alden Smith that police got called to his house, we would say, there's Alden Smith. It's like he is crap, and the police are the flies.
Let's rewind it back. What criminal has to be stupid enough to break into Khalil Mack's house? I mean, seriously, man.
But I mean, what if they don't follow football, right? Let's say he's just a guy and he sees a brand new house in Florida and he wants to break in. He doesn't have to know it's Khalil Mack's house.
Okay. I mean, I've seen some videos, some crazy crackheads doing some crazy things, so I guess that's in the realm of possibility.
Hey, real quick, so I see that Google keeps flipping back and forth. Is that Google, or are you doing something?
I'm not doing anything.
So I think it's just going back and forth to whoever's talking between you and I.
Okay.
Damn this technology.
This technology. Well, why don't we all get flip phones like Mark Davis?
Damn. Well, I think that, am I missing anything, Ed? I'll let you get going because I know you got to do some daddy duties.
What else?
Am I missing anything? This is pretty good, man. It's like I'm exercising my demons. I'm back on air. I haven't been able to be on air because I've been driving and stuff, looking for jobs. You've been helping me a lot.
Yeah.
The other day I was doing I'm a communications major, but I'm applying for PR positions. So I haven't necessarily done a press release, and I'm in the middle of Starbucks thinking, how the hell do I start this? And Ed helped me out, gave me some pointers, let me leap over my writer's block.
Yep. You should go work for the Raiders.
Yeah, right. I'd probably turn that place around instantly.
Yeah. Not too hard.
But I know what someone says. One of my friends said, no, you wouldn't, because you wanted to fire Reggie McKenzie.
I mean, yeah, well, you didn't work there then, and you won't.
But you would, because you don't want to fire him, so you'd do well.
Yeah, well, yeah, I didn't want to fire him, but I do want to fire like every executive there. Fire
including
the owner.
Mark Bedane.
That guy, man. That guy, oh man. Oh.
Anyways,
he lied to me.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for tuning in, Ed. I appreciate you joining me for the first time being on our YouTube. Hey, guys, tweet me at 26Dr.Death. Let me know how you liked it. As a viewer, what you suggest. At Edward John CA, you can follow that guy if you want some eye candy or some entertainment from Edward John. That guy. Yeah, that guy. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Ed, I appreciate you.
Can I go get my LL Bean hat?
Hey, real quick, if any of my followers have a Make America Great Again t-shirt and hat, if I can borrow it really quick, I got jury duty tomorrow.
I think you need a ponytail and an LL Bean hat. And talk about the Panthers.
All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Tweet me. Tell me what you like. This is like my first time. I had nothing lined up at all. So we were just going off of a whim. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one. Have a good one, Ed.